there's a graveyard of multiplayer games forming, a place where short-lived classics go to die. These games always seem unstoppable, until they suddenly fall off the face of the earth. These aren't bad games, but they all shared one fatal flaw. They were Friendslop! Okay, that was a little dramatic, but today I'm going to be talking about where these games came from, why they seem so addictive, and finally, why they always seem to vanish just as fast as they blow up. Friendslop isn't an official genre, but lately you might have seen people using this term to describe a trend in gaming. As you can probably guess, this term describes games that heavily rely on having a group of friends to be entertaining. And that leaves the question of the slop part. This is about the quality and the speed that these games drop. These games are often janky, low budget, and are super simple, so they can be churned out pretty quickly. But that's also part of the charm. Oh my god! The fun doesn't actually come from the story or the game really even being good. It comes from chaos, inside jokes, and seeing what happens when you stick 4 people in a haunted house. So I think it's a revenant, guys. Throw a kettle if it's a revenant. Okay. Throw a kettle if it's something else. Oh shit. Okay. Some staples of the genre you can expect are proximity chat, jump scares, yelling, perhaps someone dying in a hilarious way. Goodbye, bro. Thank you for everything. Shit! These games are often very cheap as well, so the expectations are pretty low and almost anybody can play the game. What are some examples of Friendslop, you might ask? In my opinion, the first game that inspired this style of gameplay was Phasmophobia. This game still has a decent player base to this day, unlike some of these other games, but it popularized the genre. Phasmophobia was released on September 4th, 2020, and this was actually at the best possible time. The game began to pick up traction in early October, and with its horror-based gameplay, people began to jump on this game as Halloween approached.
Time control, that's a dope superpower, but like, someone like me, you can't give me time controls. Stuff might get scary.
And it quickly shot to its all-time highest popularity on October 10th. This game was actually so successful, just last year, it got a console release. So, the game obviously has a lot going for it, and it's no surprise that other developers saw the success of this game and wanted to get in on it, which led to the start of the genre. With that introduction out of the way, today we're going to be looking at 4 main titles. I'm going to give a quick summary for each, and I want you to try to see the similarities in these. Phasmophobia. A co-op horror game where players act as ghost hunters using tools like EMF readers, spirit boxes, and thermometers to identify different types of ghosts in haunted locations. Content warning. A co-op horror game where you and your friends explore cursed locations to capture scary footage and go viral, using a mix of old-school camcorder aesthetics and chaotic, unpredictable encounters. Lethal Company. A co-op survival game where players explore abandoned, monster-infested facilities to collect valuable scrap and meet a company-imposed quota, all while communicating through proximity chat.
Is that everything?
I think so. And finally, R.E.P.O. A co-op horror game where players act as paranormal R.E.P.O agents, retrieving haunted items from cursed locations while avoiding supernatural threats. Obviously, these games aren't identical, and they each have their own unique mechanics and tone. But we're still left with this question. Despite the differences, why do they all seem to fade away in roughly the same amount of time? Personally, I don't think there's one reason. We're looking at a bunch of games with different designs and different vibes, so it makes sense that there are a couple common different factors that tend to pop up across the board. However, they all share a few gameplay elements that connect them. Based on the descriptions I gave, you might notice they all have a word in common: co-op. All of these games are designed with multiplayer gameplay at heart. Some of them do have solo modes, sure, but they're clearly designed around a group experience. Proximity chat, teamwork, and funny deaths don't hit the same when you're playing alone. And initially, this isn't a problem. It's actually the game's biggest strength. Playing with friends keeps every run feeling fresh and especially unpredictable. And having a friend get the game is a big reason why someone might buy it for themselves. But, looking a few months down the line, maybe a new game comes out and everyone starts playing that. Or, people in your group might just get busy and can't hop on anymore. Suddenly, you have a multiplayer-based game without anybody to actually play it with you. These games aren't nearly as interesting solo, and this leads to a massive decline in player count in a very short span. Because when somebody in the group stops playing, there's a ripple effect where multiple players are taken away from the game at the same time. Another important element is how the games blow up in the first place. Clip farming. Think about how you first saw these games. It was probably a clip, right? God! A YouTuber or streamer screaming during a ghost hunt pulled in millions of views when Phasmophobia first released. These games thrive on shareable content, and when a game like this catches on, your entire feed becomes clips of it overnight. That's amazing for blowing up.
My main goal is to blow up.
But when the momentum dies, they slowly fade to obscurity, and without the presence it had just a few weeks ago all over social media, people quickly forget it even existed. Also notable, there's people who buy the games expecting to get the same experience they see in the clips, only to realize it's way different and way less fun if you play it alone. And that kind of mismatch kills long-term appeal really quickly. Alright, now that we've looked at the outside factors, let's narrow our focus a bit and look deeper into the gameplay loop specifically. I talked about how these games are all co-op experiences, but I do want to make it clear that a game being multiplayer based does not make it Friendslop. There are many games I considered when making this video, some honorable mentions being Gang Beasts and Among Us, but these don't actually fit the Friendslop formula, because Friendslop is always objective-based with some kind of team goal to reach. This is what sets these games apart from any other generic multiplayer game, and it leads to the biggest issue of a goal-based game, progression, or the lack of it. These 4 games all follow a simple loop. You start with basic gear, survive one of your runs, earn some money, buy some more gear, and repeat. And you do that until you die and lose everything. Early on, this works. You don't know what's coming next, so the game's still exciting. But eventually, this loop gets stale. You've seen most of what the game has to offer, wins stop feeling good, losses just feel more annoying than anything, and there's no end game. There's no actual real goal you're working towards over time. You're not building towards anything, and it just loops until you're bored. And then this leads to burnout. Burnout is another big factor, especially for horror games. The fear factor fades fast. The first time you see a ghost or get chased is completely terrifying, but the 10th time, not really that scary anymore. You start recognizing the patterns and kind of just start going through the motions of the game, and this causes the atmosphere to die. And when that happens, the fun usually dies with it. Something that can also happen is one person just getting bored faster than the others, and then they just start clowning around, which takes all the tension away even faster. Plus, these games are often made by tiny dev teams, so updates are slow and few and far between. By the time new content drops, most players have already left or forgotten about the game entirely. Now, let's talk about gameplay. I kept asking myself, why do I keep coming back to games like COD, which arguably have all of these problems? And the answer, I think, is skill, or at least the illusion of it. In COD, I feel like if I play better, I'll do better. I can improve. I can outplay people. In these games, not really. Success feels random, death feels random, and you're not getting better over time. You're just surviving in a system that's mostly out of your control. And that's fun for a while, but it doesn't last. There's no drive to keep going because the game just starts to feel hollow. Now that we've covered the main issues these games have, you might be curious. Which of them suffered the most? Well, we can take a look at the player counts over time to get a rough idea. Phasmophobia. This is actually still going strong. It spikes and ebbs over time, as expected, but people are consistently returning to the game, and it has a better player count than some of the games released within the past year or two. And it's not totally surprising, as they've continued to update the game, and like I said, they even got a console release. Lethal Company. This fell off hard. Within the past month or so, it's seen an even more serious decline, losing half of the small base of players it had left. R.E.P.O. This one is new, and it's too early to say how this is going to end up over time, but this has actually been the most successful game out of all of them so far, so I'm hoping for its continued success. And tonight's biggest loser, content warning. This game had a pretty similar fall off to Lethal Company numbers-wise, but it has had a significantly shorter lifespan when you compare the two. In just 1 week, it lost over 150,000 players, which is insane. The chart is also a little weird in how the game started at its peak on launch day, which isn't typical, but the game was free for the first 24 hours, which means a lot more people were willing to try it, and then obviously didn't want to stay, or they didn't waste the money and didn't feel obligated to keep playing it.
Hurry! No, Pat, no! Get it back, get it! No!
Wanna bite?
So, what does all of this mean? Are these games doomed from the start? Is Friendslop just bad game design? Obviously, everyone will have their own opinion on this. Personally, I think these games do exactly what they're meant to do, and you can like that or not. They show up, give you and your friends a few chaotic nights of yelling and laughing, and then they kind of quietly just fade away. And that's fine for what they are.
We had enough horrible deaths.
Yeah, got what we needed out of that one. But it's also kind of fair to say they're built on borrowed time. The hype boosts them fast, but there's rarely anything solid underneath that will keep people coming back. There might be a really good idea in there, but it's usually not fully fleshed out, and there's no real progression or skill curve that will keep people coming back in the long term. It's not that they're inherently bad games, they're just short-lived by design. They're kind of the video game equivalent of fast food, and that's why so many fall into this exact same pattern. So, if you're wondering why your group never touched that game again after week 2, just know it's probably not your fault. If you made it all the way through the video, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like the video if you want to see more like it. Feel free to discuss your thoughts in the comments, or just yell at me and tell me I'm... Hello? We're here. Your DoorDash order? Hello?
Yo, order for Josh!
Jesus.
Why did your voice just cut in on that? Josh, you home? Oh,
Fine.
Josh is an artist. Order for Andrew! Order for Mike! Mike Ox! Is there a Mike Oxlong in this residence?
There's a lot of wishes, but each one has a drawback.
I wish for a Latina.
You said I wish to trap the ghost?
No, I said I wish for a Latina. I wish someone could stroke.
I wish that the ghost would give me the sloppiest head.
It's coming!
Oh, he's here! He's here! Yes! Yes!
I flashbanged myself! Oh. That's gore. Well, she looks like that.
I just getting bullied. What the fuck was that?
Coil head.
Oh, fuck.
Okay, we're gonna have to look away and look back. Wait, just go around this corner like this. We just need to get him in the room. Alright, look away. Oh my god! Run! We gotta go! Go, go, go! We gotta go! Hurry! Run, 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 run! Run! Run!
Run! Go, 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 go!
Oh my god! Oh my god! Holy shit! Oh my god!
Christ!
Oh my god! Run! 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 Get skirt! Goodbye, bro! Thank you for everything!
Shit!